It says that we are live, although probably not. This is probably the preamble for the replay crew and the podcast. It is 13 September 24. Thank you all for being here. We're going to talk about a bunch today. The Navy SEALs targeting China and so much. Maybe let us go live momentarily. And it says that we are live now. Are we? Are we live? Devin, 5x5. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do the brief. It's the 13th of September, 2024. I am Bear from the internet. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, comment, share. YouTube is on a tear again. All of the internet is on a tear again because it's election season. Had a thought that occurred to me the other day regarding intelligence, right? And corroborating intelligence. Very, very rarely, unless it's a matter of extreme urgency, do we do anything based upon single source intelligence, right? So if you have human intelligence, can we corroborate that with signals intelligence or image intelligence or whatever you might have, right? So two or more sources, which is biblical. In the mouths of two or three, let a thing be established. Is the internet a single source? I got to thinking about that, right? We know that Reuters and AP control most of the air quote news. There's 6 media companies on planet Earth that control 98% of the media that's consumed. And we know that, what's it? Project Mockingbird on up from there. We know that newscasters and news agencies can't be believed, can't be trusted. And we know that the federal government, at least in the United States, has I don't know if infiltrated is the word, but is at least colluding with platforms like Meta, Instagram, Facebook, and then of course YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is owned by Alphabet Corp. So all these things, right? We know that there's collusion there. Is the internet a single source? Right? Just because I saw an article at Axios and it was corroborated by an article at Fox. Does that count? No, it doesn't count. The internet is a single source, which means most people on planet Earth are getting their air quote news from a single source on Earth, which means it is therefore unreliable. Or at a minimum, needs to be filtered through a very specific lens in order to understand why we are being propagandized, that we're being propagandized, why we're being propagandized, and to what end. Coffee. Show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, Yahweh, your Elohim, the Lord your God. It's brought to you by the fine people over at Patreon. Link is in the description. It's only $10 a month, and it is not an I love me, you should love me too page. There's as much or more content on Patreon than there is on YouTube. It's all exclusive that will never see the light of day here. So if you want more Bear or you want to go deeper on certain subjects, find us on Patreon. The entire platform is for us anyway, a prepper consultancy. And so if you've ever thought I would love to ask Bear that question, I wonder what his answer would be. That's what Patreon is. And it's $10 a month. And you ask me the questions and I give you the answers. And to the best of my ability anyway. Or I bring in subject matter experts to give you the answers. If you sign up for a year, you get 2 months for free. Patreon, link is in the description. What's up, NWA Prepper? And of course, refugemedical.com. I'm the founder and CEO, aka Chief Shilling Officer of Refuge Medical, whom we will talk more about in a bit. Political and economic indicators are on the menu this morning. We're going to talk about Russia today reporting that SEALs are headed towards Taiwan. And why? First, why would they even know that? B, why are they reporting it? C, is that accurate? And then, of course, the national intel is sent in by y'all to intel@bearindependent.com. That's the email address, or you can go to bearindependent.com, click the contact us button, and provide your intel. And going back to that, internet is a single source thing that we were just talking about. I love getting intel from y'all. Even if you think it's not relevant to anybody else, or if you think it's a little stupid or whatever, I love getting intel from y'all, especially from our international Bear Nationals, because international reporting in the United States is abysmal. And as of right now, again, because we're in an election season, there's so much signals noise on the internet. It doesn't matter what search engine you use, trying to find what you're actually looking for, which is pretty much what I do every morning so that I can be at least moderately informed about these things so that I can discuss them with you. It's getting more and more difficult, more and more difficult. Tons of signals noise right now. And so we cut through all of that bullshit when you guys email me, intel@bearindependent.com, and tell me what you're actually seeing, what you're actually experiencing. Please do not send me links. Bear, you got to watch this video. You got to read this article. Bear don't got to do nothing. I want to hear from you. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? Okay. And so we're going to do that here in a minute. Estes Park in the house. Wow. Wow. You got elk walking through your front yard yet? It's a beautiful area of the country. All right. Written brief. The long-awaited debate between former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris is making waves. As you know, we talked about this on Wednesday. Even though the debate itself didn't shed much light on things like taxes, regulation, or tariffs, the perceived results are showing up in the markets. That's what we're going to talk about. With increasing confidence in a Harris win and decreasing confidence in a Trump win, bleh, bleh, I don't love Trump. He's not the Messiah. He's not a savior. He's not even that great of a candidate. But when compared to Kamala Harris and the Biden regime, which is actually the Obama regime, he's a knight in shining armor and a true gentleman. And what do I want? What I want doesn't matter. What matters is what will be, right? That's what we're trying to forecast here, is what will be, so we can adequately prepare, so that we can see around corners and mitigate risk to the best of our ability. What I want is the economy to return to what it was before Biden Harris was in office. I don't know if we're going to get that, y'all. So really right now it's about trying to ascertain how much time do we have before chaos actual. Is it a few months or is it 4 years and a few months? I don't know the answer. I don't know. I hope it's 4 years and a few months. But hope is not a strategy, right? Hope is not a method. On Wednesday afternoon, shares for Trump Media and Technology Group fell by 13%, while solar stocks linked to a Harris win rose. Now, there's an interesting little thing that's going on just right there. Solar stocks. Who produces 90 some percent? I think it's 91% of the world's solar panels and solar panel components. Everybody say it with me. China. Oh, totally not a spy solar panel. Oh, very good for you. Make a sun, make power for your house. You have happy face, air conditioner, stay on, no dire heat. Yeah, China. That's correct, Colonel Lebowski. China. Interesting. Have we seen any other potential collusion between the Obama, Biden, Harris regime and China? Yes, we have. Yes, unless you've been living under a rock and or completely in denial of actualities. Like you get your news from Rachel Maddow. Yeah, China and the Democratic Party, they go way back as part of China's 400-year plan. See, we are on 4-year cycles here in the United States of America. They're on a 400-year cycle playing the long game to be able to take over the United States of America. And remember everybody's favorite general, General Sun Tzu, right? The ultimate win is to have defeated your enemy without ever drawing your sword, without ever firing a shot. Yeah. So what did they do? They printed $90 trillion and invested in our stock market. And thanks to the Clintons and others, call us basically the world's manufacturing capacity inside of their country, where China produces more CO2 than all the other industrialized nations on the planet combined. And then they bought off a bunch of our politicians and they send hundreds of thousands of Chinese nationals to the United States of America per year to act as a very wide, not necessarily deep, but as a very wide collections array for human here in the United States of America that they then funnel back to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And they use all of that to undermine American values and American resolve so that they can take over the country in America without ever firing a shot. Oh, who owns 38% of the United States farmland? Yeah, China. 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 I hate these guys. It's not even the Chinese that I hate. It's the Chinese Communist Party that I hate. Just like, there's lots of good Americans, but the American political system is hot garbage. Which brings us back to there is a class of ruling elites here on this planet that think they are better than everybody else, and they know better than you do, and they are willing to literally kill your sons and daughters, whether that's through abortion or vaccination or warfare or indoctrination or relocation or whatever. They're literally willing to kill you and your sons and daughters in order for their will to be made done. That's called tyranny, tyranny actual. And where does it come from? Well, there's this dude. He's a piece of shit. His name's Hasatan, Satan, the enemy, the adversary. And to the extent that we here, I'm going to say a bad word, kids, to the extent that we here on this planet experience mass fuckery, it's him. So, and communism is a godless atheistic system. Imagine that. And yet here we are. Yet here we are. Everything's going to be fine. If we just vote, if we vote one dude in, if we pit one dude with orange hair and an orange face against the entire world system, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, guys. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Tariffs, steel, the best, tremendous, believe it. So Trump Media and Technology Group, their stocks fell by 13% because America, we see for China to rise, America has to fall. While solar stocks linked to Harris rose. Why are solar stocks linked to Harris? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Coffee. The head of FX strategy, Sharu Shanana, said the U.S., because that's like a traditional American name, right? What are you, a bigot? No, I'm just saying I've never met somebody with deep ties to the United States of America over generations and generations and generations, whose name was Sharu Shanana. Said, quote, the U.S. presidential debate achieved its goal by providing a decisive edge to one of the candidates in what has been an exceptionally close race. I wouldn't call it decisive. I watched the debate. Trump didn't do great, but he definitely won. But you won't get that from any of the reporting anywhere. Anywhere. No, it's Harris totally destroyed Trump. She kicked him right in the balls. She attacked his ego and made him fearful of it. No, she didn't. And all this crap, dude. What is it? The H1 or N1, Novos N1 earbuds. No, they're not earbuds, they're earrings. Try researching that. Page after page after page of far right conspiracy theory. Kamala wasn't wearing earbuds. Yeah, she was. Watch the debate. It's obvious she's buying time. Let me be clear. Right? She'll lean back like this. If you watch the debate, she does one of these. Right? She did this 100 times. She leans back from the podium, puts her hands up. Hands up, don't shoot. She goes, well, let me be clear. Stops, looks up and to the left, and is listening to the talking points that are being put into her head. You can watch it in real time, unless it's been scrubbed from the internet already. I watched it in real time. Bjarg says you could clearly see it. She was being spoon-fed talking points because we've all seen her former body of work. And we all know that her former body of work is her body because she's literally a whore. Willie Brown, anybody? Willie Brown. She's literally a whore. She slept her way to the position that she's in, and she was a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion hire from the Biden regime because Biden said unequivocally he would hire a woman of color as his vice president. And he did. One that apparently is very good at ascending the corporate ladder via certain giftings, talents, and delights that include gyrating and whoredom. She's her former body of work. She's not good at speaking publicly. She's terrible. But now all of a sudden during the debate, let me be clear, backs up, leans away from the podium, hands up. And then when she's ready to talk, she turns her hands from outward to inward like this. She pivots her hands and she goes, Donald Trump said blah, blah, blah. Well, she's getting the talking points in her ears. But that's a far right wing conspiracy theory because everybody knows me. The name of the channel is definitely not Bear Independent, registered independent, trying to be independent of the broken, fragile system. But I'm clearly a far right wing conspiracy theorist. Whatever. Narratives, internet, single source intelligence. Sharu Harakhanana said the U.S. presidential debate achieved its goal by providing a decisive edge to one of the candidates in what has been an exceptionally close race because they're lying about the polling and trying to create the narrative, the perception that Kamala is A, an actually decent candidate, and B, that she has traction, and she doesn't, and she's not. Decisive edge to one of the candidates would have been an exceptionally close race. Crypto and energy stocks might face headwinds as market sentiment adjusts to the shifting political dynamics. I don't know how the market is going to get excited about having an actual Marxist in the White House. I don't think the market can market if the communists run the country. But what do I know? I'm just some random white guy from Oklahoma. And clearly my white privilege and misogyny is showing through. Or you want to know something cool? My mom was actually an immigrant. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you guys didn't know that. Just not the type of immigrant that you often hear about. My mom is full-blood German. Came over with German parents who immigrated to the United States of America. There's a little thing going on over in Germany during that time where a bunch of people were getting killed and it was going politically crazy over there. So they came here and they couldn't afford to keep their children. So my mom has a sister and a brother um, from her natural nuclear family, and they gave all of their children up for adoption to good American families who would take care of them back when America did things like that. And my mom was adopted from German immigrants by my grandpa Charlie, who was an awesome guy. Awesome guy. So yeah, I'm half German, like legit German. But my mom was an immigrant. I'm also a quarter American Indian. Like my dad was half Native American, Cherokee Choctaw Creek. My grandma on my dad's side, one of her favorite quotes was, "You know what Custer's famous last words were?" "No, Grandma, what's that?" "Look at all them Morrises up on that hill." Yeah. So all that to say, I don't know which boxes I need to check in order to be able to politically say the words that I need to say, but immigrant, check. Native American, check. A small business owner, check. Father, husband, check. Check. Believer, yeah, I'm so Christian, the Christians don't like me anymore. Check. But here's a funny little thing. We have this thing called the First Amendment here in the United States of America, and there are ensconced in that First Amendment are actually 5 different individual liberties, one of which is the right to say whatever you want to say to anyone at any time. Now, Section 230, is this a platform or a publisher? YouTube. I don't know. We're 18 minutes in. I haven't even made it through the brief. I should probably shut the hell up and read, shouldn't I? Historically speaking, election polls aren't actually as accurate as a predictor of who may win an election. Pollsters only predicted the victor correctly 78% of the time, according to 538 analyst Nathaniel Rackett's examination of hundreds of polls between 98 and 2023. Alternatively, that's a better way to say that word, the S&P 500's movements between the months of August and October have been an excellent bellwether since 1984. When the blue chip index rose, the incumbent party was successful, and when the index slumped, the challenger was victorious. For those wanting to keep a wary eye on the coming future of political shifts in the United States, maybe keep that eye trained on the S&P 500 and the blue chip index for the next month and a half. There's another one too, the misery index. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little bit more miserable here lately than I have previously. which is fine. Let's get 4 more years of this shit going on because clearly it's working, boys and girls. And if you don't like it, we'll just gaslight you into thinking you're the problem, not the government. Oh, quiet part out loud again. The misery index. The unemployment rate and annual inflation rate are melded together and adjusted seasonally. Take the 3 month moving average between August and October, and you have an indicator that, quote, has correctly predicted every presidential election since 1980, end quote, according to Fortune. The incumbent, the person who's currently in office, wins if the index decreases, and the challenger wins if it increases. So the more miserable people are, per the misery index, which is a combination of the unemployment rate and annual inflation rate, the more miserable people are, the more likely they want a political change. The less miserable they are, the more likely they are to vote for the incumbent. Now, the incumbent in this case is an 81, 82-year-old man who has dementia and who is a pedophile, who hasn't actually been running the country, who's had 536 days of vacation in the last 3.5 years, who's bought and paid for by China, whose son was just convicted of conspiring to launder funds and garner funds through the influence of his father's political positions. That guy, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., the most popular president in American history with 81 million votes asterisk, re Dominion voting machines. That guy's not on the ticket anymore, but his side hoe, Kamala Harris, is. And so we have an incumbent party, but not an incumbent candidate at this point. And so we'll see how that shakes out. Currently, this index is pointing to a Harris win, though there is time for that to change. Why would the misery index be pointing towards a Harris win? Because the numbers can't be trusted, because the misery index is a result of the unemployment rate, and they just like within the last 10 days got their PP schwacked because they had to admit that there are a minimum of 818,000 jobs that the Department of Labor said were added but weren't actually added. They don't exist. They're make-believe. And most of the jobs that have been added are still what are called bounce back jobs after COVID, and they're part-time or gig work jobs, not full-time jobs. And a bunch of them were government jobs, not private sector jobs. And then certain other estimates have that number of jobs that were never actually created closer to 1.1 million, not 818,000. So that one half of the misery index right there, the reporting is wrong. The data is wrong. Because communism, you just make up the numbers, right? It's like, oh, the trains don't run on time. Change the train schedule. Boom, they're on time now. What's the other half of the misery index? The annual inflation rate, which the way that inflation is calculated now does not include the cost of energy or the cost of groceries, which they are artificially saying is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.2% right now. If there is anybody within the sound of my voice that thinks that inflation during the Biden-Harris tenure has only been 3.2%, please raise your hand in the chat. Oh, wait. Do you think we've only had 3% inflation? No, that's gaslighting. That's an abusive relationship. That's the government overlords telling you you're the problem, not everybody else. Maybe you're having a hard time, but it's just you. Everybody else is doing fine. Strongest economy we've ever had. So, can the misery index accurately predict a Harris win? My guess is no, because the two factors that go into that, we know the numbers are bullshit. We know the unemployment rate numbers are bullshit, and we know the inflation numbers are bullshit. And so the misery index is being kept artificially low, regardless of what the actuality on the ground is, regardless of what you're going through. And then all the air quote news agencies pick up on that and go, inflation is down. No, it's not. No, it's not. Have you bought groceries lately? Have you tried to buy a house lately? Have you tried to buy anything lately? Say Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. I think it was 1921. They put him on the bill. Today, dollar for dollar, if Andrew Jackson was going to be put on that bill, it would be a $356 bill. Okay? It's about 18 times loss in value. 1,800% decrease in value in about 100 years. Yeah, but don't worry. Everybody else is fine. Maybe your little life is falling apart and spiraling out of control. You can't, um, highest personal credit card debt ever. People can't make ends meet. They're having to pick and choose between, do I buy this thing? Do I buy that thing? Um, Delinquent rents and delinquent mortgages through the roof right now, but everybody else is fine. It's just you. You're the problem. Yeah. Gaslit by a communist Marxist regime that claims to be capitalist and claims to support democracy and freedom. And people swallow it up. Like, oh, yeah, yeah, Kamala, she's my girl. Oh, by the way, Taylor Swift needs to shut the hell up about everything, about everything. And I love the fact that certain internet personalities, Chad Prather being one of them, what's up, bro? Um, are basically pointing out, oh, Kamala endorsed Harris. Cool. 90% of her songs are about she picked the wrong person. So, but I digress. Misery index, unreliable, in my opinion. Speaking of indicators of what's in store for America's future, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, estimates that national debt will rise to $54 trillion in the next 10 years. On the 11th of this month, 2 days ago, it reached $35,331,161,690,593.41. But these same people are going to come to your house with men with guns and take you and put you in an orange jumpsuit in a concrete box if you fail to pay your air quote taxes. Bullshit. By the way, this same party that believes that the United States Constitution is a living document open for interpretation, cool. Well, then I interpret that I'm not paying property taxes or sales tax or any registration fees or income tax ever again. Since it's a living document open to interpretation, I also interpret that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that we are supposed to have access to military armaments. So we, the Bear Nation, are going to crowdfund an order to Raytheon, and an order to FN Herstal, and an order to Colt, and an order to Lake City, and an order to Oshkosh, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to basically buy governmentliquidation.com and then everything that's on it, because I interpret that that's what it means. And also, since the government gets to just print money out of thin air, since the government is of the people and for the people, and we are the people, I have a de facto example to say that we can just print our own trillions of dollars too. And then when the Federal Bureau of Investigation shows up, and the Secret Service, because we're manufacturing money, and they're like, you can't do that. I'd be like, but I'm just doing what my leaders in government are doing. And so, and also, by the way, you work for me. So while you're here, take this duffel bag of cash, take it over here, get us some Blackhawks and some AH-64s. Okay, cool. Have a wonderful day. Because if they can do it, we can do it, right? If they can do it, we can do it, right? Lead by example. Oh, where have I seen that before? Right there. Lead by example. Right there. So, right there are representatives, elected representatives. If they can do it, we can do it. Why not? Why not? This is a living document subject to interpretation. Cool. Two can play that game. Let's play that game. I love that game. Yeah. Bear bucks. And do not put my face on some green rectangle piece of shit. If you're going to put my face on anything, it should sound like this. But even then, don't make any graven images, okay? So don't do it. The CEO, this is a ridiculous name for different reasons. The CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, Michael Peterson, that's a lot of Peters, bro. And I'll tell you what, economically, politically, right now, there's a lot of Peters. I feel like I'm being attacked by Peters, and I don't mean Peter. I mean reproductive organs. The CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, Michael Peterson, said, quote, America's fiscal outlook is more dangerous and daunting than ever, threatening our economy and the next generation. This is not the future any of us want, and it's no way to run a great nation like ours, end quote. Fox Business quoted Sean Snaith. Snaith. That sounds like a name from Harry Potter. Then Snaith said abracadabra, blah, 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 and you turned into a toad. A University of Central Florida economist who said, quote, this is a warning shot across the U.S. government's bow that it needs to right its fiscal ship. You can't just spend trillions of dollars more than you have in revenue every year and expect no ill consequences, end quote. You know, the problem with that, though, is modern monetary policy. Yeah, that's literally what certain economists, the same economists that Kamala quoted as being in support of her economic plan during the air quote debate, better known as a debacle. Yeah, there are economists who are um, all the way for modern monetary policy, which basically says spend all the money, and when you run out of money, print more money. Just devalues the money, right? But which is fine because they're the ones in charge of printing the money, which means they have the money. But you, with your little life that you're trying to live, with your little paycheck and your little 401k, maybe your little savings plan, your little grocery bill, your little people that you're responsible for. If they devalue your purchasing power, what do they care? Because all that does is make you more dependent upon them because they're the ones that have all the money. Bullshit. Not cool. That's the written brief for today. I think one of the key takeaways here is watch the S&P and do not believe the misery index because they are manipulating the misery index. They're manipulating the unemployment rate and the annual inflation rate. But if we can watch the blue chip index and the S&P 500 for the next month and a half, keep an eye on that. That has accurately predicted every president since 1980. So we'll keep our eyeballs on that. Speaking of eyeballs, is there, tell me in the chat right now, is there a kit from Refuge Medical you have questions about or you'd like to see? Because I'm going to talk about Refuge Medical right now because we got to pay some bills. We do it the old fashioned way here through capitalism and yay, America, American manufacturing. So, you know, made in America, guaranteed forever. The Ox, the kiddo. So I got an Ox coming. I do have a kiddo right here, ankle kit. I have in the other room. Belt kit. I will have an Ox and a belt kit here for next week. How's that? Travel kit. All right. We'll look at the kiddo and the travel fact. How's that? Kiddo. Travel fact. Ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Okay. What's the kiddo? The kiddo is 60 doll hairs right here. It's a little compact. How compact? Here's my hand. Okay. Okay. It's a little compact, lightweight. This weighs under a pound. Vacuum sealed kit that you can throw in a backpack, in a purse, in a glove box, in a book bag, and anywhere it'll fit. Now, this is designed for bleeding control, airway, and respiratory for children. This is not a boo-boo kit. This is an oh shit kit for kids or for people who have kids. $60. Will this work on adults? 100% it'll work on adults, especially when compared with like a cat tourniquet or a soft tee. All right. And so this has in it Slishman pressure wrap, which you can see right there. That's the orange thing right there. And so that is a pediatric tourniquet for critical bleeds in the extremities. It has a pair of Halo chest seals, one package of compressed gauze for wound packing, one mini compression bandage, one Mylar blanket, package of flat duct tape, and a pair of gloves. Because if it's wet and not yours, don't touch it. This is $59, refugemedical.com. You can use promo code BearNation for free shipping on everything in the store, and everything is HSA and FSA eligible. And oh, we actually make stuff in the United States of America. We had some troll on the Refuge channel that was like, yeah, made in America. You meant to say assembled in America. Well, asshole, stay tuned. Have I got a story for you? This is the travel fact that we make here in the United States of America. It's red. It's made out of red ballistic nylon that comes from Brookwood that we sew in our sew shop. This comes in as rolls of components. Okay. This is just giant rolls of fabric. And then we cut it and we sew it and we pressure test it and we make it for you. Super, super nice. Made in America. There's a tag right here. It says Made in America. Guaranteed forever. This comes with a mounting platform that you can attach to the headrest of your vehicle. All right, so that this is behind the headrest of your vehicle. I like mine on the passenger side because I'm typically the driver. So I can reach over, pull this kit off. So I can detach this from the headrest. And then I have in my hands, I have a Cat Gen 7 tourniquet for arterial bleeds in the extremities. I've got my Sharpie right here for note taking or marking casualties. I've got a pen light for examination as well. You have this Velcro field so you can attach whatever patch you want. It comes with a Refuge medical patch, but you can put whatever you want right there, as evidenced like so. And then the way this works, let's say maybe it's not a criticality, right? It's not an oh shit bleeding situation. Susie fell off of her bike. Okay, cool. In here, watch this. Boom, red handle. You see the red handle? You grab the red handle. You leave this stuck to the headrest and just pull. And then you have this inside of here. This is the travel pack. Pop it open. Look at all that cool stuff that's in there. Look at that. Well, what's in here? I've got a compression bandage. I've got 2 pairs of gloves. I've got wound packing gauze right here. I've got my Mylar blanket in the back right there. I have a Slishman pressure wrap. Again, there's that. For arterial bleeds in the extremities for children right there. I've also got my shears down here. A little hard to see, black on black this morning. And then I've also got chest seals back here for punctures to the pleural space. Petrolatum gauze. And then I've got a bunch of stuff that's not for life-threatening injuries because, praise Yah, most of our injuries are not life-threatening. Scrapes, bruises, bumps. So I've got my boo-boo wipes. I've got my OTC meds. Dad's got a migraine again. I've got flat duct tape because duct tape rules the universe. And I've got my Band-Aids. Oh no, you skinned your knee at the playground. You fell off the monkey bars. Band-Aids. Band-Aids are psychological. They fix everything for children. And so this kit has the ability to deal with critical injuries with a motor vehicle accident, massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, as well as minor injuries from a motor vehicle accident and or everything else. And it's made in America and it's guaranteed forever. And Refuge medical kits have only saved 136 lives to date. That's all. And so they must be absolute trash. It's complete make-believe. And, you know, we just assemble kits in the United States of America. We definitely don't manufacture these at all in our building at 807 West Broadway in Spiro, Oklahoma, where you can come buy stuff if you want during business hours, or you can call the store, or you can hit the chat on the website, which I highly recommend. You got about a 1 in 4 chance that you end up talking to me on the chat on the website. Or you can email us, admin@refugemedical.com. Jacob Moore says, it's a great kit. I keep one in my truck, but at the same time, it's small enough to snatch off and put in my cargo pocket when I need to use my chainsaw. It helps with peace of mind. That's awesome, Jacob. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is compact. Our kits are dense. Size and weight-wise, that's intentional. Size is one of the mitigating factors on, can I carry this thing? Will I carry this thing? Why have you seen a resurgence of 9mm subcompact pistols? Because people want the efficacy, and I know we could argue the efficacy of 9mm, but in a compact form so that they'll carry it all the time to conform to their concealed carry protocol. Because it doesn't matter if you carry all the time if you don't carry all the time. We do the same thing with our kits that are made here, guaranteed forever. Refugemedical.com, promo code BearNation for free shipping. Today we're talking about the travel fac, which is the red one here in my hand, and the kiddo, which is this little vacuum sealed kit right here. You can find them at the store. If you have any questions, get a hold of us. Okay? Okay, Bear. All right. Awesome. Let's put this stuff away. Perfect. there's an article I want to look at real quick before we get into national intel because I find it hella interesting. It's from RT, Russia Today. Russia Today reporting headline: U.S. Bin Laden killers training for China mission. SEAL Team 6 has reportedly been focusing on a Taiwan conflict. Now listen here. There's a lot going on in this article, a lot more than meets the eye. First, what's the source? Russia Today. Russia Today is state-run media from Russia, and they push Russian positive narratives, aka propaganda. So that's the first thing to be aware of. What's the source? Second, they're not called SEAL Team 6 anymore. So why did they call them SEAL Team 6? Well, the Russian state, the GRU, FSB, former KGB, etc., they know that they're not called SEAL Team 6 anymore, that they're DevGru, developmental group, right? They know that. But most people don't. Most people don't have that as a touch point. So they call them SEAL Team 6 so that people who are at least vaguely familiar with this will go, oh, SEAL Team 6, that's the counterterrorism guys, right? That's what they do. That Dick Marcinko, the Rogue Warrior, I read those books. Okay, cool. They're not called SEAL Team 6 anymore, but whatever. Next, SEAL Team 6 has reportedly been focusing on the Taiwan conflict. How the hell do they know? So what's the point here? Is this an assumption designed to rattle the people at JSOC? Do we got a mole? Or do they have a mole? Why would I think that they have a mole? Because the Father's amazing and has put some very interesting people into my life. We'll just leave it at that. It would be reasonable to assume that a unit like DevGru, aka Team 6, could be working on that as part of their mission set. So it could just be an inference from RT, Russia Today. Now, let's continue. The U.S. Navy's Elite Special Operations Unit, SEAL Team 6, has been training to, quote, help Taiwan, and, quote, in case of a Chinese invasion, according to the Financial Times. The unit carried out the 2011 mission that killed al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. SEAL Team 6, quote, has been planning and training for a Taiwan conflict for more than a year at Dam Neck, its headquarters in Virginia Beach, about 250 kilometers southeast of Washington. The Financial Times reported on Thursday, citing anonymous sources familiar with the matter. Well, whoever those people are, their heads need to roll. But why, if they've been doing this for over a year and they have insider information, a couple of big ifs, why would they be reporting it now? Well, there's a history of this that goes back to 1979, I believe, with the little unit that at the time was called Delta Force. And they're no longer called Delta. And to this day, the Army will deny the fact that they exist. That's a different conversation for a different time. Delta was going to go run an op in Iran in 1979. Very quietly. Right? Like very quietly. And reports came out that Delta was going to go run an op in Iran. And that op got scratched. They weren't going to run it anymore because they lost their cover, because now the enemy knew they were coming. And that has happened on multiple occasions since 1979 to now. So why the reporting now that SEAL Team 6 is going to go to Taiwan in case of a Chinese invasion? To potentially blow whatever Op 6 would have been running over there. Guys, we're known. We're blown. We can't do it now. And this is all conjecture from my standpoint, to be perfectly clear. Analysis and opinion, as they call it. Not the facts, ma'am. This is just what I think about the situation. Which could indicate one could draw conclusions on China's timeline for Taiwan based upon the reporting of this by RT, which is Russian state propaganda. And we know Xi and Putin are buddy-buddy, best friends, man. They're awesome. Now, Putin, I think, likes Kim Jong-un more than Xi. I think they hang out, they do bro stuff together. But Xi and Putin are still very friendly. And so the fact that this reporting out, they've known this for over a year, is coming out now. Again, all assumptions. And the Russians are just as, if not more, manipulative with their air quote news than we are. It could be to push the timeline back or cancel whatever ops, naval special warfare was or wasn't going to run in Taiwan. So that's interesting to me. That's what I think is the interesting part of this article, is the concept that they could have been doing this in the first place, and like for real, like they were gonna go. Now, I can also tell you, I think I can tell you, naval special warfare trains for all kinds of threats. All kinds of threats. And I know this because we have been blessed on occasion to do OPFOR for them. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It makes sense given their mission set that DevGru SEAL Team 6 would be training to go do hood rat shit in Taiwan. Given the geopolitical situation in the world, that makes lots of sense. That doesn't necessarily imply that they were on some kind of workup on a timeline with a specific mission packet in order to be able to go in there and hit specific targets. It's just a perceived threat. It's a pretty like they're also training for Russian threats. Gee, I wonder why. So, let's see. The U.S. has sent special forces to Taiwan in the past several years. Now, special forces is different than SEAL Team 6. Special forces is on the Army side, which is different than special operations. Has sent special forces to Taiwan in the past several years to train the island's military against potential attack from the mainland. No details were given about SEAL activity, which is, quote, highly classified. Yet here it is being reported on in Russia today. U.S. Special Operations Command referred any questions about Taiwan plans to the Pentagon, which did not comment on specific details. So far, the only hints of U.S. plans for potential conflict around Taiwan have come from Admiral Samuel Paparo, the head of the Indo-Pacific Command, in an interview in June. Quote, I want to turn the Taiwan Strait into an unmanned hellscape using a number of classified capabilities so I can make their lives utterly miserable for a month, which buys me time for the rest of everything, end quote, Paparo told the Washington Post. Now, I just got to say, that quote right there is exemplary of a man in uniform who still has a pair of balls and wants to fight and win the nation's wars. Awesome. Yes, turn it into a hellscape. My opinion is if we're going to go to war, you don't just kill the bad guys. You erase their family history from existence. You bomb the entire place until it looks like the surface of the moon. Fight and win. Fight and win. Destroy it. Now, we can argue on the other side, what is a righteous war? Yeah, I don't know if we've had any of those in the last 20 years or so. But if you're going to go. If you're going to destroy your enemy, you destroy them completely. Does anybody read The Art of War anymore? Does anybody live The Art of War anymore? Crush them. So a hellscape is a great descriptor. Matt Baer, Brian Deanwright was talking about October being the optimum month for the Taiwan Strait weather-wise. Yeah. Brian Deanwright. I think I like Brian Deanwright. He runs the Right Report. I listen to him almost every day. We're here now, so let's just talk about this. Brian Deanwright, former CIA officer. Mike Baker from the President's Daily Brief, former CIA officer. Sean Ryan, former CIA. Now, I like all of these people. I do. But we've just talked about earlier in the show, Operation Mockingbird, right? CIA. We know that they infiltrated the big media sources of the day, and we know that there's government collusion now on all types of platforms, including podcast. And so a lot of these sources that are out there that have these very interesting backgrounds, I personally know and hang out with and fellowship with people who have very interesting backgrounds, who have done very interesting things. Not CIA. What? Yeah, we're on to you, bro. We're on to you. but it does add a kernel of disbelief and distrust in there when there's all the alternative media sources, not all of, but I like hyperbole, but a lot of the alternative media sources have very interesting backgrounds working for three-letter agencies, and it makes me question the narrative as presented. That being said, I would all the way go on Brian Dean Wright's show or Mike Baker's show or Sean Ryan's show and have a conversation because I don't know any of those gentlemen in person. I've never sat down and had a glass of whiskey with them, taken the measure of the man. But I just find it really interesting that more and more and more former intel officers and former operators and all this are like, here's what I have to say about the situation. And it's like, man, you were part of the apparatus now that's controlling the narrative and the flow of information. It's just hard to you can't believe anything 100%. I can't believe anything 100% unless it's this blue book that was written by God. This I'll believe 100%. Everything else, so just throwing that out there. Lastly, Taiwan has been run by the descendants. Yeah, we know, blah, blah, blah. One China policy, blah, blah, blah. The U.S. government claims that Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered the People's Liberation Army to modernize to achieve the capability of forcibly seizing the island by 2027. Yeah, I can tell you for a fact that our Department of Defense has been orchestrating its forces and capabilities towards warfare in the South China Sea for at least the last 24 months and strongly estimates that it will be used anywhere between today and 5 years from now. 2027 is a key timeline. I'm for myriad reasons that we don't have time to get into right now, but most of the reporting that you will see, internal and external, points to by 2027. Where is most of the shit in the world manufactured? China. Why is it important to support American manufacturing? Because we're not China. Boobadoo, boobadoo, boobadoo. Hey Bear, I heard something about the founder of Blackwater getting involved in Venezuela on September 16th, and there being a countdown. Thanks for the info. MG, I don't know. Certainly not an ability to comment or not in a position to comment or report on it at this point. Yeah, Eric Prince, love him or hate him, or just acknowledge the fact that he exists. Yeah, the apparatus. Why does Russia use Wagner Group for so many of their shenanigans? A plausible deniability. Even though everybody knows Wagner is Russia, Russia is Wagner. That's why. Why does the United States use PMCs, private military contractors, which, by the way, run the gamut from food services to shooters? So doing government contracting or fulfilling government contracts doesn't mean you're a Delta Steel sniper operator, helicopter pilot, smoke jumper. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Although that's what most people think when people say I did government contracting. They're like, oh, you were a hitter. Yeah, Burger King is a government contractor, and that's not hyperbole. That's a fact. So you can all the way flip burgers at a base somewhere half the way around the world and be a government contractor. So let's see. We're nearing the end of our time together. We're going to do the national intel now, because it's my show and we get to do what I want. Just got word, and this is the national intel at bearindependent.com. An engineer unit out of Oklahoma was scheduled for deployment next summer when the battalion G4 was ready to head to a training event for the MOB, the mob. They informed, not the mob. Which mob? The Russian mob? The Italian mob? The Armenian mob. That's who it was, the Armenians. Definitely not the Irish. They informed they didn't need to go. This unit is not hurting for personnel, and their equipment had just started going through the shop for technical inspections. As far as I can tell, this deployment to Africa was dropped without a known reason. Maybe nothing. Not sure. I just have a hard time seeing Oklahoma walk away from this type of money coming to the state. Yep. Maybe they're needed for something else. I think the implication here is: was this deployment dropped because there's something more pressing coming up? That it's a potential timeline indicator. Next, I wish to remain anonymous. I am not law enforcement, but I'm a member of emergency services in Laurel County, Kentucky. You're probably aware of the shooting that took place on I-75 in Laurel County, Kentucky. I cannot give as much intel as I want to because my agency responded to the call as well, and every alphabet soup agency is here in the county. What I can say is, and not knocking the EMS service, who did a very awesome job, but due to EMS service protocols of not being able to enter the hot zone, we've talked about this before, emergency medical services do not go in while violence is ongoing, okay, which is why you need to be adequately prepared and trained. But due to EMS service protocols of not being able to enter the hot zone, the sheriff's deputy, who also did a very awesome job, were the ones doing the first aid in the hot zone and putting victims in their cruisers to transport them to the closest hospital. Tourniquets save lives. This is this person reporting, not me. But this goes back to this concept. I think every law enforcement officer on the face of the earth needs to be trained at a minimum on Stop the Bleed, if not Responder 1 from Refuge Medical, massive bleeding, airway, respiratory. They're not. It's generally speaking not part of the academy. They don't engage in continuing education on this, even though they could, because law enforcement typically doesn't do medicine. They're not the ones to do medicine. And so if you think the cops are here, they'll fix this problem. No, they don't do medicine. And a lot of them don't have kits. That's why we partner so hard with Project Tribute Foundation here in Oklahoma. 27 lives saved, Oklahoma law enforcement officers, just since Project Tribute started. That's just Oklahoma Leos. Cops, regardless of where they got their badge from, cops don't know this stuff. They need to, but they don't. And so the fact that the sheriff's deputies were treating and transporting victims, applying tourniquets and saving lives is incredible. That's the exception, not the rule. As I said earlier, I wish I could share more. For anyone in Bear Nation in the area, everything that can be done is being done. With all that being said, it's like you have said on your channel thousands of times, you are your own first responder. I had my Bear Fac with me on scene, and I felt a lot more confident in its capability than some other guys with their Chinese boo-boo kits. Please pray for the law enforcement officers and other emergency service agencies here. They're all good dudes just trying to do the best they can with the situation. Thank you for all you guys do at Bear HQ. Yeah, you are your own first responder. If you don't have a kit, get a kit. If you don't have training on how to use the kit, get training. Come to class. Refuge Medical has classes December 8th and 9th upcoming. They will sell out. You should come to class. Make the trip. Bear, when are you coming to insert your hometown here? I'm not. Not anytime soon anyway. Come to class. Our last class, we have had in 2024, people from Canada, Germany, South America. We've had, in this last class, we had people from Canada, from Florida, from the West Coast, from the Northeast. Everybody came to Spiro, Oklahoma to train. Let another man sing your praises. I've got thousands of people who have come to class with very interesting backgrounds, who said this is the best civilian trauma medicine class I've ever seen. This is incredible. I've had dozens of people who are like, I qualified combat lifesaver in the military, and this class is more comprehensive than what we were taught. Yeah. So come to class December 8th and 9th, Refuge Medical. You are your own first responder. If you can't come to class, not you won't come to class, but if you can't come to class, trauma medicine playlist, it's free here on this channel. It is a resource to you. Go to playlists, trauma medicine playlist. It's a 4-hour block of instruction on the S-March-E algorithm and pause, pain management, antibiotics, wounds, and splinting. So it's security. massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, everything else, including expose, evaluate, elevate, then pain management, antibiotics, wounds, and splinting. For free here on this channel. You can watch it. You should watch it with your mutual assistance group. Watch it with your family. Watch it with your church security team. Go through it. Do it. Because I love you and I don't want bad things to happen to good people. Okay? Okay. 12C, and it's no substitute for the first hour of RT in person, 100%. Because when we're together, when we're in class together, I can teach you because you're here and I'm here and I can correct whatever mistakes you're making. I can help you help yourself. If you got to come to class. If you can't, not won't, can't, at least watch the trauma medicine playlist. There, you love me? Well, demigod, I suppose I do. You've been here long enough, but fuck around, find out. Just an interesting thing I had happened to me the other day. I was picking up some ammo and other items at my local Rural King. Oh, hello, welcome to local Rural King. Rural King jalapeno prepper. Thank you. Northwest Indiana area. Typically, the cashier would check my ID when buying ammo. In the past, there's been buyers from Illinois attempting to purchase guns and ammo here across the state line. You mean gun laws don't prevent that type of thing? I've heard this from multiple employees also mentioning straw buyers. Anyway, this most recent trip, the cashier told me they did not need to check my ID. And they said earlier this month, we were told not to ask anyone. With prior incidents in that store and the fact that it is a short drive to Chicago, that comment caused me to raise an eyebrow, and you were the first person I thought I should mention this to. Glock 316, bless you, bro. Yeah, man, I pelt last night. After that, and I think everybody who was on Pelt last night, it's Patreon exclusive live stream Thursday. What more is there to say? What more is there to talk about after we pray over a family that lost their son? There is nothing else to talk about. That's why I bounced. That's why I had to go. I was just like, given the gravity of that situation, if somebody asks me about what striker fired polymer frame 9mm pistol should I get, I'm going to lose my shit because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That family lost one of their children. That matters. And we need to pray for them. That matters. So, praise Yah. Even in the midst of that tragedy, praise Yah. My brothers, count it all joy as you fall into various trials for the proving of your faith. And his ways are not our ways, and we shouldn't even have the audacity to begin to question why. It's natural to want to know why, but because Yah said so. Well, how could a kind and loving God allow that to happen? Do not tempt Yahweh your Elohim. Do not try the Lord your God. And it just goes back to, we have this illusion of permanence here in this world, that everything will be the same forever. And it is not. The only constant is change. I mean, you should be thankful for the very breath that's in your lungs right now, because if he chose to take it from you, you are powerless to stop him. Powerless. And remember that in your relationship with the creator of the universe, you are powerless compared to him. The only thing you could possibly give him is your heart. That's it. And the only reason he wants that is because he loves you. Adds a lot of perspective to life. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's his will. Yeah, 100%. And bro, suicides hit me hard. March 9th, my best friend killed himself. Veteran, multiple deployments, Navy. And he chose to blow his head off with a revolver rather than continue on in this life. And it fucked me up. Still does. Still does. But we are allotted 30 days to mourn. And so I'm not mourning anymore. But I'll tell you this, I couldn't be at his funeral service, but his little sister sent me the video of his funeral service, Brian Hoiser. And I still haven't watched it because I am not in a position right now where I can afford to be emotionally distraught for an undetermined period of time. And so I am choosing to not watch it right now until the time is right. And I know that, and Jan knows that, and I think Brian knows that too. And I also think, just so we're all on the same page here, the Father is not subject to our interpretation of time. And I think it's all the way possible to pray in reverse. And so I pray for the disposition of Hoiser's soul regularly, and that the Father would have mercy on him. And it's not my job to understand why things happen. It's my job to serve Elohim regardless of what happens. And so, Glock, when you put that in the chat last night, bro, it crushed me. And I did not want to continue to talk about anything but that after having prayed for that family. Because I can't imagine what they're going through. And there's nothing else that's important. Oh my goodness. Now, having said all of that, we got a little bit more of this national intel to read. And I'm going to read it because people went out of their way to send it to me. And I appreciate that. So we're going to do right by them. I want to let you guys know that we are seeing a huge spike in organized crime armed robberies in central Oklahoma. Bloods and Crips are coming from major cities to the rural counties of Oklahoma to armed robbery, mostly Chinese marijuana grows. The Mexican grows are armed. So far, no average citizens have been harmed, but at least 3 people have been killed in these robberies, where usually 4 or 5 males armed with rifles and sidearms are forcing entry to the premises and using violence to take drugs and cash since they cannot use banks to hold their money. Listen, wherever you are within the sound of my voice, if you do not have an organized and training group of military-age males to resist this exact type of thing, you are wrong. You are out of time. The window of opportunity is closing, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for you guys to very seriously start doing the things. Very seriously. 4 or 5 dudes show up. 4 or 5 guys. All right. This is a radio. Yeah, this is my call sign at this location. We have described situation at this location. Roger, 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 roger. Check, 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 check. Cool. Handled. What kind of radio is that? Is it UHF or VHF or HF or D? Shut up. Shut up. Doesn't matter. Doesn't. Because you're going to gear queer out on the radio instead of what the radio is for. To call homies that you don't have, that you don't train with, that you're not orchestrating things with, that you don't have a QRF plan with, that you haven't done an area study, you don't have area familiarity, you can't even shoot your freaking rifle. What kind of radio is it? The kind that you should shove up your ass if you don't have a team of people to talk to on the radio. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. These threats are real, and I have been telling you for years, these threats are real. There was another home invasion style double homicide that is suspected to be the same type of activity. So far, it has only been crime against other criminals, but I'm afraid, don't be afraid, fear nothing but Yahweh your Elohim, that they will start the same thing to unaware citizens before long. These guys are from the cities near military bases, and the techniques used indicate training. Several have been locked up so far, but there's plenty that haven't been caught. These guys have no problem killing and have demonstrated it in my county. Be sure you are situationally aware and have an IFAC. I know where you can get a really good one. So something else, by the way, thank you guys for all the super chats. I just can't right now. But I see you. I just I just can't right now. Something that most people are very deeply unaware of. Organized crime is organized. Crime syndicates from all over the world send their soldiers, if you will, their henchmen, their lower ranks, and in some cases their upper ranks. They send them to the United States military. Go join the Army, go join the Navy, go join the Air Force, go join the Marines to learn, to do your 4-year stint, and then come back and then teach us marksmanship, weapons handling, small unit tactics, fire and maneuver. Teach us all of that. They do the same thing with law schools and with business schools and with law enforcement, EMS and fire, and with doctors, so that they push their people out into the world, they get them the requisite training, then they have them come back and train all of their people. The threat goes up the longer into a scenario we go, because the only people that are left are the competent ones. Next, I live in a small town in central Illinois. There's a small gas station owned by, let's say, not American by birth, and I stop there when I need to. Anyways, I've been seeing more and more people who are not speaking English there playing the slot machines. Also, I work for a major manufacturing factory that makes warehouse racks for a lot of essential products in the U.S., in which we have more than 200 people who do not speak English, and some of them changed their name a few months in. Just saying, this is happening in Redneckville, Illinois. Where else is this happening? And last, in recent videos, the talks of hospitals not being able to function seem to be a trend. Unfortunately, this past weekend, the local hospital in Northeast Florida emergency room was down, and the staff had to return to analog paper charts to conduct business. I only know this due to my father-in-law being admitted on Friday night. Also, the COVID crap is still running amok, as some of the staff was trying to push the shot on my father-in-law, and without our knowing, they started to administer remdesivir. Luckily, I spoke with my wife, and she had them stop that med before it could do any damage. And the most important, lastly, on my trip through South Georgia, the peanut crop looks to be doing just fine, so there should be plenty of creamy or crunchy peanut butter available in the future. Intel at bearindependent.com. Grindstone Ministries, new swag is in the store. Sawhand shirts, operator shirts, and Fobbit shirts and hoodies. So if that's you or you want to support Grindstone Ministries, come see us there. Okay, awesome. Again, Grindstone Ministries, link is in the description. New swag in the store. Sawhand shirts, operator shirts, and Fobbit shirts. Do it. It's Friday. It's payday. Go grab a t-shirt, a hoodie, whatever. Or just donate to Grindstone. Also, we are spinning back up, man. It's about to be storm season again. So if you are not on the rolls, if you want to deploy with us when we go punch hurricanes and tornadoes in the face, go to Grindstone Ministries, get on the email blast. Okay, sign up. That's where the op words go out. That's how we coordinate. That's where you will receive more information. Tracking, Bear. Awesome. Bear Independent, Patreon, and Bear Independent swag. If you want a t-shirt, a sticker, a hoodie, or whatever, links are in the description. If you want to support the show and have access to more than 5,000 exclusive videos, live streams, posts, write-ups, all of that's on Patreon. It's $10 a month. Best $10 you can spend on the internet. And lastly, calebhouse.org, Caleb with a K.org. I am very intentionally fundraising right now for our field teams. We need more vehicles, more equipment for our field teams. I need more people in the field teams. When we first started this, we could, what is this? Counter trafficking, actually doing bad shit to bad people, not just making Instagram posts about raped kids bad, but actually doing things. When we first started this, we could handle maybe a case at a time. I can't tell you how many concurrent cases we have going right now, but it sure as shit is a lot more than one. It is a lot more than one. We have people coming to us from all over the country that are subject matter experts to partner with us on these cases, so that we can make bad shit happen to bad people, so that we can rescue widows and orphans, and so that we can restore them in the name of Yahweh to put them back together again. And I don't pay these people enough. I can't pay these people enough, and we are running out of equipment. We're running out of vehicles. We're running out of office space. We've been fundraising for construction, and bless every one of you that has donated towards construction. and I appreciate that very much so. But I have to get something going for the field teams. I have to. And so if that's on your heart for the field teams, whether it be equipment, vehicles, or funding so that we can pay the people that we have better and bring on more people, calebhouse.org, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. Yeah, the Father's just been pressing that on me a lot lately. And that's the show for today. Let's speak to the creator of the universe, shall we? Yes, we shall. Oh, Father Yahweh, Father, thank you for allowing us to wake up this morning. Father, thank you for every little thing that we take for granted. Thank you for being a good Father and sovereign over all things. Father, you are sovereign over all things, and so I pray that we would walk in your will today to experience your miraculous provision, protection, and blessing. Father, fill us with emunah and simcha today, faith and joy, regardless of what may happen in the world. Let no weapon formed against us prosper. Pour your spirit out on us so that we would speak your word and go where you would have us go and minister to those that need ministering, Father, that we would be your hands and feet. Give us strength and power and authority in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Let our light shine so forth before men, and let the darkness not comprehendeth it. Father, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that is not of you, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father, please remember us today as we remember you. Make your face to shine upon us. Be indwelt in us. Let us be a nation of kings and priests, Father. Father, we love you. We thank you for the covering of blood of Messiah. I ask you to minister to all these people today. Give us this day our daily bread. Lead us not into temptation. Forgive us our trespasses. Forgive the righteous man even as he stumbles 7 times in a day, Father. Thank you for inexplicably and perpetually loving us. Spread your covering over us and empower us to be good witnesses. Father, thank you. Thank you for everything that we've got. In Yeshua's name, amen. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. I will see you when I see you. Shalom.